Once upon a time in the secretive land of North Korea, a child was born. His name was Kim Jong-Un, and he would become one of the most infamous leaders of the 21st century. He was the youngest son of Kim Jong-il, the ruthless dictator who had already subjected his country to decades of fear, starvation, and isolation. The young Kim Jong-un was groomed from an early age to continue his father's oppressive regime. He was sent to Switzerland to attend an elite boarding school where he lived under a false identity. There, he was exposed to the freedoms and prosperity of the Western world, but his heart remained firmly tethered to the teachings of his father. In 2011, Kim Jong-il passed away, and Kim Jong-un ascended to the role of supreme leader of North Korea. The world watched with trepidation as the young man, barely 30 years old, took control of a nation with nuclear ambitions and a long history of human rights abuses. Kim Jong-un sought to consolidate power, and his leadership was marked by brutality and fear. He executed his uncle, Jang Song-thaek, who was considered to be one of the most powerful men in the country. This act, along with the purging of numerous other high-ranking officials, sent a chilling message to those who might have harbored thoughts of dissent. As the years went on, the international community became increasingly concerned by North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Kim Jong-un's regime conducted multiple tests despite international sanctions and condemnation. The world held its breath as tensions between North Korea and the United States escalated, with both sides engaging in a dangerous game of threats and posturing. Meanwhile, the citizens of North Korea continued to suffer. The regime's focus on its nuclear and military ambitions came at the expense of the well-being of the population. Famine and malnutrition were widespread, and those who dared to criticize the regime or attempt to flee were met with brutal punishment. The North Korean people were indoctrinated to worship their leader, who was often referred to as the Great Successor. He was portrayed as a godlike figure whose every action was for the good of the nation. However, beneath this facade of devotion lay the stark reality of a nation in despair. The true extent of the suffering endured by the North Korean people may never be fully known. Defectors who have managed to escape the regime's clutches tell harrowing stories of forced labor camps, public executions, and children who are so malnourished that they cannot even stand. Kim Jong-un's rule was marked by fear and repression. He sought to maintain an iron grip on power, even at the expense of his own people's well-being. In his quest for control, he isolated his country from the rest of the world, creating an environment where the most basic human rights were a distant dream for the majority of the population. The story of Kim Jong-un's life is a dark tale of cruelty and suffering, a reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked power. As the world looks back on his reign, history enthusiasts and scholars alike will continue to delve into the complexities and horrors of his rule. They will seek to understand the man behind the title of Supreme Leader and, in doing so, ensure that his actions are not forgotten but serve as a somber warning for generations to come.